Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing the top 10 Kickstarters of the month. And before I get started, I do have a Kickstarter of my own and also some friend Kickstarters. I also do Kickstarter consulting, so if you want to improve your Kickstarter game, message me and we could definitely talk about that. But let's jump into my Kickstarter. If you just saw Wicked, this is a perfect time to check out Witches of Oz. It's Glinda's origin story. It's Glinda and the Wicked Witch finally falling in love, so hopefully guys could go check that one out. Going into some friend Kickstarters, we do have Strange Ranger issue 2, which is a forest ranger getting into some more supernatural sci-fi elements. Some of my favorite people are on this. Mark Bell, who does the writing, and Janson, who does the art. It's a really fun, cartoony series to go check out. Moving on to Death Goddess of Cthulhu issue 1. This is by Pat Shannon and his team. It's part of his new imprint, Dark Veil. And what I really like about this is kind of like the Buffy-esque element mixed with Cthulhu. So it's this young, naive woman who kind of jumps into this darker world. And again, with the bend of not demons and vampires, but Cthulhu, which has been a popular brand on the Kickstarter platform. Moving on to my last friend Kickstarter, and that is Impossible Jones. If you're a fan of superhero stories, this is a long-running series. It has comedy. It has a fun, like, good guy, bad guy, gray area and bend. So hopefully guys could go check that one out. Now let's jump into the top 10. Number 10 for me is Cullen Bunn's Triple Threat of Terror. Cullen Bunn has been a huge name in the direct market, especially when it comes to horror, and has made some really great titles. One of my more recent favorites being Ghost Lore. So I'm really happy to see Cullen honestly doing so many different things, either working with different publishers and now kind of leaning into Kickstarter as well with 3 horror titles. If you want titles and different books from a horror mastermind, this is definitely the campaign check out. So that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is Sidequests, a comic anthology. I love a cool outside the box anthology, and this one's definitely outside the box. So it's kind of leaning more towards your D&D video game-esque storyline, where this is not your main quest, it's the side quest. What happens in between the main quest and that character's journey. So I thought this was kind of a cool angle and a cool way to build an anthology. So that's number 9 for me. Moving on to number 8, another big name, this is 3W3M, and this is built by Hickman, Huddleston, Del Mundo, and Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer, I haven't seen his name in a while, so it's cool to see him back and doing something independently. One of my favorite series from him being Morning Glory, so I think it's cool to, again, see him back into the indie sphere. And honestly, the designs feel very Hickman to me, and Hickman's been a huge name, especially these last couple of years for Krakoa and now Ultimate Spider-Man. So I just think it's cool that they're building something that we've been seeing in indie comics. We've been seeing big creators making their own publishers or imprints, but not really through Kickstarter. So I think that's got a unique angle. Moving on to number 7, which is Kneel Before Doomface. Wonder what parody we're playing here. It's honestly an 80s character, kind of like your Death of Superman style story. And how if you put that in the modern age? And I love a good meta contextual story, and that's what it feels like it's delivering here. I think the art even fits kind of a 90s, 80s style with a modern bend, like what we've been seeing with kind of these retellings of Marvel or DC stories. So I think this is a perfect fit for that. Moving on to number 6, which is Terry Moore Covers. Love Terry Moore. Love that he's on Kickstarter. And if you're a Strangers in Paradise fan, there's an extra story in here that looks kind of cool, has a Western bend. So if you're a fan of his art, you get the cover side of stuff, and you get a little bit more from Strangers in Paradise. That is number 6 for me. Moving on to number 5. Again, speaking of big names, we have, I think, one of the biggest team-ups in Kickstarter history right here, and that is the Deadly Trio, Doomsayer, and the creators behind that is Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, Brian Polito, and Billy Tucci. 3 creators that have been on Kickstarter and have big labels on Kickstarter and bringing a universe and story together, and also are friends in real life. So I think that's a really great way to pitch a project. So that is number 5 for me. Moving on to number 4, which is Boss Battle, a con artist story, round 1. It's just a con brawl, like a convention, Comic-Con. I thought that was a cool concept, but also what really got me is I thought the thumbnail was really clean, and then when I went to look through the covers, every cover just really stood out to me, and you could tell how much effort was put into this. So I love seeing a variety of variant covers that give you something different, but are all very upscale. So I felt like that this project did that. So that's number 4 for me. Moving on to number 3, which is IDGAF. I don't give a fuck about aliens, issue 1. And this is by Anthony, who honestly, every single time if I don't know he did a project and I click on it, I was like, oh yeah, of course it's Anthony, because this project looks amazing and it has a cool twist. I'm going to just read you the log line because I think that sells the project. Who has time to get abducted by aliens when you're running late for a wedding? So it has this kind of rom-com movie vibe with a comic twist because of the alien side of things. So I just thought it was a really fun concept that felt different to me. Moving on to number 2, which is Comics Pro Boot Camp. If you want to get into comics, you want to learn about comics from the best of the best, this is the thing to check out. I love when Kickstarters can do this because I'm sure a lot of people looking in Kickstarter is looking to maybe make their own comic book. So I think this is a great resource for people who want to get into the comic book industry, which there's not a ton of resources out there. It kind of is, you kind of learn on the job, and it's one of those things where it's like, how do you learn on the job when you don't even know how to create that job? So these are really great resources if you want to get into comics. So my number 1 pick is How to Watch Wildlife. This is a art book, comic book, where it actually teaches you how to watch the wildlife, birds and how to interact with wildlife. So I thought it was interesting to see a real life thing you can utilize being told through images and comic books. I think that's just the wonders and magics of the mediums. That's why it's my number 1 pick. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Kickstarters of the month were, and hopefully you guys enjoyed.